The rain was falling hard on the day they came for. He was sitting in his small apartment in New Seoul, looking out the window at the sky. The city had changed so much in the last 10 years. Buildings were broken. Streets were empty. The war with the had taken everything from humanity. Heard the knock on his door. He did not move at first. He knew who it was. The United Earth Council had been watching him for weeks. He had seen their agents following him, standing on corners, pretending to read newspapers that nobody read anymore. He opened the door. 2 soldiers stood there in their blue uniforms. Behind them was a woman with silver hair and tired eyes. Her name was Commander and had heard stories about her. She was one of the few leaders who still believed humanity could survive this war. "Lieutenant," she said, her voice was soft but strong, "may we come in?" Stepped aside and let them enter. His apartment was small and simple. There was a bed, a table, and a chair. On the wall hung an old photograph of an elderly woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. That was his grandmother. She had died 5 years ago but still talked to her picture every night. Commander looked around the room. Her eyes stopped on the photograph for a moment, but she said nothing about it. She sat down on the chair and folded her hands. "I will be direct with you," she said. "The Council has chosen you for a mission. It is dangerous. It is probably impossible, but you are our last hope." Sat on the edge of his bed. He had been a soldier for 12 years. He had fought in many battles against the. He had watched friends die. He had killed enemies who were just following orders, same as him. He was tired of war. "What mission?" he asked. Commander took a deep breath. "We want you to broker peace with the Empire." Laughed. It was not a happy laugh. It was the laugh of a man who had heard something crazy. "Peace. With the, they have destroyed 12 of our colonies. They killed millions of our people. Their queen has said she will not stop until every human is dead. And you want me to ask for peace?" "Yes," said, "because we cannot win this war. Our ships are broken. Our soldiers are tired. Our supplies are running out. In 6 months humanity will be finished. Peace is our only chance." Looked at the photograph of his grandmother. She had always told him that there was good in every creature, even the ones that seemed evil, even the ones that hurt others. She believed that kindness was the strongest weapon in the universe, had stopped believing that a long time ago. "Why me?" he asked. "I am just a lieutenant. I am not a diplomat. I do not know how to make speeches or sign treaties." Stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the rain. "We have sent 12 diplomats to the. None of them came back. The Queen killed them all. She did not even listen to their words. She just destroyed them." "Then why would I be different?" Turned to face him. "Because you are not a diplomat. You are a soldier. You understand war. You understand loss. And you have something that none of the others had." "What?" "You speak the old language, the language of Earth before the colonies. The Council believes that the might respond to something ancient, something that reminds them that humans are more than just enemies." Shook his head. "I only know a few words. My grandmother taught me some songs and poems when I was a child. That is all." "That is enough," said. "They are old creatures. They respect tradition. They respect history. If you can show them that humans have a past worth remembering, maybe they will give us a future." Was quiet for a long time. He thought about his grandmother. He thought about the songs she used to sing to him when he was scared. He thought about the stories she told him about the old world before humans left Earth, before the stars became battlefields. "When do I leave?" he asked. Almost smiled. "Tomorrow morning. A shuttle will take you to the border. From there, you will travel alone to the. You will have a translator device but no weapons. If you bring weapons, they will kill you before you can speak. And if I fail, then humanity will fall. But at least we will know that we tried everything." That night could not sleep. He lay in his bed and stared at the ceiling. The rain had stopped and the moon was shining through his window. He thought about all the people who were counting on him. Billions of humans scattered across the galaxy, waiting to die or waiting to live. He got up and stood in front of his grandmother's photograph. Her eyes seemed to look right at him, just like they did when she was alive. "Grandmother," he whispered, "I do not know if I can do this. I am not brave like you. I am not kind like you. I am just a tired soldier who has seen too much death." The photograph did not answer, of course, but felt something warm in his chest. A memory came to him. He was a small boy sitting on his grandmother's lap. She was singing a song to him, a lullaby about the moon and the stars and a child who was not afraid of the dark. He closed his eyes and sang the song softly. His voice was rough and broken, but the words came back to him like old friends. "Sleep now, little one. The stars are watching. The moon is gentle. Do not fear the night, for even in darkness love will find you." When he finished, he opened his eyes. He felt different, not brave exactly, but ready to try, ready to fail, ready to do whatever it took to give humanity one more chance. The next morning, put on his uniform and walked to the shuttle station. Commander was waiting for him with a small bag. Inside was food, water, a translator device, and a small recording device. "Record everything," she said. "If you succeed, we need to know how. If you fail, we need to know why." Took the bag and nodded. He looked at the shuttle. It was old and small, barely big enough for one person. It would take him across the galaxy, through enemy territory, to a world no human had ever seen and returned from. "One more thing," said. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a small stone. It was smooth and white, like a river stone from Earth. "This belonged to your grandmother. She gave it to the council before she died. She said to give it to you when the time was right." Took the stone and felt its weight in his hand. It was warm, even though the morning air was cold. He remembered this stone. His grandmother used to hold it when she told him stories. She said it was from a river near her childhood home, from a world that no longer existed. "Thank you," he said. He climbed into the shuttle and closed the door. The engine started with a low hum. Through the small window, he could see Commander watching him. She raised her hand in a salute. Did not salute back. He just nodded and turned to face the stars. The shuttle lifted off the ground and flew into the sky. Below him, the city of New Seoul grew smaller and smaller until it disappeared into the clouds. He was alone now. Alone with his mission, his memories, and his grandmother's stone. Somewhere ahead of him, across the darkness of space, the Queen was waiting. She did not know he was coming. She did not know anything about him. But knew one thing for certain. He would not come back until he had looked into her eyes and spoken his grandmother's words. Whatever happened after that was up to fate. The journey took 17 days. 17 days of darkness and silence and stars. Spent most of his time looking out the small window, watching the universe pass by. He had never felt so small in his entire life. On the 5th day, he passed the border. This was the line between human space and territory. No human ship had crossed this line and returned in 3 years. Held his grandmother's stone tight in his hand as the shuttle moved forward. Nothing happened. No alarms, no attacks, just more darkness and more stars. On the 10th day, he started to see the first signs of the Empire. Massive stations floated in space, bigger than any human city. Ships moved between them like fish swimming in the ocean. They were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Expected them to stop him, to destroy him, but they did not. His shuttle kept moving forward and the ships just watched. Maybe they knew he was coming. Maybe they wanted to see what the humans would send this time. On the 17th day, he saw it was called Vela Prime, named after their queen. It was a planet of purple mountains and silver oceans. Clouds of gold and pink floated across the sky. Had never seen anything so beautiful. His shuttle landed on a platform made of black stone. As soon as the engine stopped, he heard sounds outside. Clicking and humming and something that sounded like music. They were waiting for him. took a deep breath and opened the door. The air hit him first. It smelled like flowers and metal and something else he could not name. It was warm and thick, and it made his lungs work harder. The translator device in his ear started making soft noises as it tried to understand the alien sounds around him. Then he saw them. They were tall, much taller than humans. Their bodies were covered in hard shells that shined like jewels. They had 4 arms and 2 legs, and their heads were long and pointed. Their eyes were big and dark, with hundreds of tiny parts that all moved at the same time. They looked like insects, but they moved like dancers. There were 12 of them standing on the platform, warriors guessed. They carried long weapons that glowed with blue light. Behind them stood a smaller in white robes. This one had no weapons, only a small device in its hands. The robed stepped forward and made a series of clicking sounds. The translator in his ear turned the sounds into words. "Human, you have entered space. You have landed on soil. By the law of our queen, you should be destroyed." Kept his hands at his sides. He did not want to make any sudden movements. "I am not here to fight. I am here to talk." The made more clicking sounds. "Many humans have said this. Many humans have died. Why should you be different?" "I do not know if I am different, but I am here, and I am asking for the chance to speak to your queen." The robed was quiet for a moment. Its eyes moved across his body, studying him. Then it turned to the warriors and made a quick series of sounds. The warriors lowered their weapons. "You will come with us. If you try to escape, you will die. If you try to harm anyone, you will die. If you speak words that anger our queen, you will die. Do you understand?" "I understand," said. They walked through the city of could not believe what he was seeing. The buildings were made of crystal and stone, reaching up into the purple sky like giant fingers. Rivers of silver water flowed through the streets, and strange plants with glowing flowers grew everywhere. The people watched him as he passed. Some of them were curious, moving closer to see the strange human. Others were angry, making harsh sounds that the translator could not fully explain. A few were sad, looking at him with something like pity in their dark eyes. Wondered how many of them had lost family to the war. How many of them hated humans because of what humans had done. How many of them would cheer if the queen killed him right now. They walked for almost an hour before they reached the palace. It was the largest building had ever seen, bigger than any human structure on any world. It was made of black crystal that seemed to absorb the light around it. Towers rose from its roof like claws reaching for the sky. The doors opened without anyone touching them. Inside, the air was cooler and the light was dim. The walls were covered with images of history, battles and ceremonies and faces of queens who had ruled long before humans even existed. Felt the weight of that history pressing down on him. They had been building empires when humans were still living in caves. They had conquered 100 worlds when humans were just learning to make fire. Who was he to come here and ask them for peace? But he kept walking. He had no choice. The throne room was at the center of the palace. It was a massive circular chamber with a ceiling so high that could not see the top. The floor was made of bones. Real bones, he realized with a sick feeling. The bones of enemies, maybe. The bones of the fallen. And there, on a throne of pure crystal, sat Queen Vila. She was huge, much bigger than the other. Her body was covered in golden shells that sparkled in the dim light. Her 4 arms rested on the sides of her throne, and her eyes were the color of blood. She looked down at like he was an insect, a small, meaningless thing that had crawled into her home. Around her stood dozens of warriors, their weapons ready. Advisors in colored robes whispered to each other. Servants moved silently in the shadows. The whole room was watching, waiting to see what he would do. The robed who had brought him pushed forward. "Speak, human. Say what you came to say, but choose your words carefully. They may be your last." Looked up at the queen. His heart was beating so fast that he could hear it in his ears. His hands were shaking, and his mouth was dry. He had practiced speeches in his head during the 17 days of travel, beautiful words about peace and cooperation and the future of both species. But now, standing here in this room of bones and crystal, all those words seemed empty. They seemed like lies. So he decided to tell the truth. "My name is," he said. His voice was small in the huge room. "I am not a diplomat, I am not a politician. I am just a soldier who is tired of war." The queen did not move. Her red eyes stayed fixed on him. "I have killed your people," continued, "and your people have killed mine. This war has taken everything from both of us, our homes, our families, our hope." Still the queen said nothing. The room was completely silent. "I did not come here to make demands. I did not come here to bargain. I came here because someone I love taught me that there is good in every creature, even the ones who seem evil, even the ones who have hurt us." Reached into his pocket and pulled out his grandmother's stone. He held it up so the queen could see it. "This stone belonged to my grandmother. Her name was. She died 5 years ago, but she taught me many things. She taught me songs and stories from the old world. She taught me that kindness is stronger than hate." The queen's eyes moved to the stone. Something changed in her face. Could not tell what it was, but he saw it clearly. A small movement, a tiny flash of something in those blood-red eyes. "Before I die," said, "I want to share one of her songs with you. It is old, it is simple, but it is all I have to offer." He closed his eyes. He thought of his grandmother's face. He thought of her warm hands and her gentle voice, and he began to sing. "Sleep now, little one. The stars are watching. The moon is gentle. Do not fear the night, for even in darkness love will find you." His voice echoed through the throne room. It was not a beautiful voice. It was rough and broken, just like it had been in his apartment. But the words were clear and the melody was true. When he finished, he opened his eyes. And he saw something impossible. Queen Vila had risen from her throne. Her massive body was shaking. Her 4 arms were pressed against her chest, and her red eyes were filled with something that looked like tears. She was frozen, completely frozen, not moving, not breathing, just staring at like she had seen a ghost. The whole room had gone silent. The warriors looked at each other in confusion. The advisors stopped whispering. Even the servants in the shadows had stopped moving. Something had happened, something that nobody expected, and had no idea what it was. The silence lasted for what felt like forever. Stood in the middle of the throne room, his grandmother's stone still in his hand, watching the queen shake on her throne. He did not understand what was happening. He did not know if he should speak or move or run. One of the warriors stepped forward. His weapon was raised and his dark eyes were angry. "What have you done to our queen?" he demanded. "What human trick is this?" Shook his head. "I did nothing, I only sang a song." "You lie," the warrior pointed his weapon at his chest. "You have poisoned her mind with your human magic. You will die for this." But before the warrior could fire, Queen Vila raised one of her massive arms. Her voice filled the throne room like thunder. "Stop." The warrior froze. Everyone froze. The queen's voice was so powerful that it seemed to shake the walls themselves. Queen Vila looked down at. Her red eyes were still wet with tears and her body was still shaking, but her voice was strong and clear. "Leave us," she said to the room. "All of you, leave us now." The advisors looked at each other in shock. "My queen," one of them said, "it is not safe. This human could be." "I said leave." The queen's voice was like ice. "I will speak with this human alone. Anyone who stays will face my anger." The room emptied quickly. Warriors, advisors, servants, they all moved toward the doors, looking back over their shoulders with fear and confusion. In less than a minute was alone with the queen. The doors closed with a heavy sound. The throne room was silent again, but it was a different kind of silence now. It was not the silence of danger. It was the silence of something old and painful waking up after a long sleep. Queen Vila slowly descended from her throne. She was even bigger up close. Her golden shells clicked and hummed as she moved. When she reached the floor, she walked toward with careful steps, like she was afraid he might disappear. Did not move. He did not run. He just stood there and waited. The queen stopped a few feet away from him. She was so tall that had to look straight up to see her face. Her red eyes studied him closely, moving across every part of him. "That song," she said. Her voice was softer now, almost gentle. "Where did you learn that song?" "Swallowed. My grandmother taught it to me, when I was a child." "Your grandmother," the queen's voice caught on the word. "What was her name?" "Her name was—" The queen closed her eyes. A sound came from her chest, a deep, rumbling sound that translator could not explain. It was like pain and joy mixed together. The queen repeated, "I have not heard that name in many years, many, many years." Felt his heart beating faster. You knew my grandmother." The queen opened her eyes. For the first time did not see anger or power in them. He saw something else, something human, something like love. "Sit down, human," she said. "I will tell you a story that no one else knows, a story that I have kept hidden in my heart for longer than you have been alive." Sat down on the floor of bones. The queen lowered herself too, folding her long legs beneath her body. She was still huge, but somehow she seemed smaller now, more like a person and less like a monster. "When I was young," the queen began, "I was not a queen, I was not even important. I was just a larva, a child from a small family on a small world. My parents were workers, not warriors. They had no power, no status. We were nothing." Listened without speaking. The translator in his ear turned the queen's clicking sounds into words, but he could hear the emotion behind them, the sadness, the memory. "When I was very young, there was an accident. A great storm hit our world. My family's home was destroyed. I was thrown into the darkness, alone, afraid, dying. I was just a small larva, not even old enough to walk properly. I thought I would die in that storm." The queen paused. Her eyes looked far away, like she was seeing something that happened long ago. But then a ship came, a human ship. It had crashed on our world during the same storm. The humans were hurt too, but they were alive. One of them found me in the darkness. Felt something cold run down his back. He was starting to understand. "It was a woman," the queen continued. "An old woman with kind eyes and gentle hands. She did not speak my language, I did not speak hers, but she picked me up and carried me to safety. She wrapped me in cloth to keep me warm. She gave me food and water." The queen looked at. Her red eyes were shining with tears again. "And she sang to me. Every night while we waited for rescue, she sang to me. The same song you just sang, the same words, the same melody." Could not breathe. His whole body was frozen. His grandmother had saved the queen, the most powerful creature in the galaxy, the enemy of all humanity. "I was with her for 12 days, the queen said. 12 days of fear and darkness, but I was not afraid, because she was there, because her voice made me feel safe." "That was my grandmother," whispered. "That was." "Yes," the queen nodded slowly. She saved my life. And when I became queen, I tried to find her. I wanted to thank her. I wanted to tell her that I never forgot her kindness." "But you couldn't find her." The queen made a sound that might have been a laugh or might have been a cry. "I found her, but it was too late. By the time I had the power to search for her, she had already died. 5 years ago, you said?" "Yes. That is when my agents told me she was gone." Felt tears in his own eyes. His grandmother had never told him this story. She had never mentioned saving an alien child on a distant world. She had died with this secret in her heart. "But I do not understand," said. "If you loved my grandmother, if she saved your life, why did you start this war? Why did you destroy our colonies? Why did you kill so many humans?" The queen was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was heavy with pain. Because I am a queen, and queens do not rule with love, queens rule with power. My people demanded war. They saw humans as invaders, as threats. If I had shown weakness, if I had spoken of the human woman who saved me, my enemies would have used it against me. I would have lost my throne. My family would have been destroyed. So you killed millions of people to protect your power. The queen did not look away from his eyes. Yes, that is exactly what I did, and I have hated myself for it every single day. Every time I ordered an attack, I heard its voice in my head, singing that song, telling me to be gentle, telling me not to fear the darkness. She reached out with one of her massive arms and touched his face. Her touch was surprisingly gentle, like a mother touching a child. When you sang that song, I heard her voice again. I saw her face. I felt her warmth, and I knew that I could not run from my shame anymore. Did not pull away from her touch. He just looked into her red eyes and saw the truth there. The queen was not a monster. She was a creature who had made terrible choices and who had suffered for them. "What happens now?" he asked. The queen lowered her arm. She was silent for a moment, thinking. "I do not know," she said finally. "I have started a war that cannot be easily stopped. My generals want blood. My people want victory. If I suddenly call for peace, they will think I am weak. They will try to remove me from power. But if you do not call for peace, humanity will die." "I know," the queen closed her eyes. "I know this, and I do not want it, I never wanted it, but I do not know how to stop what I have started." Thought about his grandmother. He thought about her kindness and her courage. She had saved a dying alien child without knowing what that child would become. She had sung lullabies in the darkness without knowing that those songs would echo across the stars. "Maybe you cannot stop it alone," said, "but maybe we can stop it together." The queen opened her eyes, for the first time saw hope in them. "What do you mean?" "My grandmother taught me that kindness is stronger than hate. She was right. Her kindness saved you, and now maybe your kindness can save us all." The queen was quiet for a long time, then she nodded slowly. "Tell me more, human. Tell me how we can end this war." And the queen talked for many hours. They sat on the floor of the throne room, surrounded by bones and shadows, and they planned the end of a war. It was strange. Had come here expecting to die. Instead, he was having a conversation with the most powerful creature in the galaxy. The queen told him more about her past. She told him about the 12 days she spent within the crashed ship. She told him about the fear and the cold and the strange sounds of the storm outside. But mostly, she told him about the warmth of human hands, the warmth of human songs, the warmth of kindness in a universe that was often cold and cruel. "Was not afraid of me," the queen said. "I was young then, just a larva, but I could see that she was not afraid. Other humans in the ship were scared. They wanted to throw me out. They said I was dangerous, that I might hurt them when I grew bigger. But my grandmother did not listen to them. No, she held me close and told them that all children deserve love. All children deserve protection, even the children of enemies." Smiled sadly. That sounded exactly like his grandmother. She had always believed in the goodness of others, even when there was no proof of it, even when everyone else said she was wrong. "What happened to the other humans in the ship?" asked. The queen was quiet for a moment. "They died, not because of me. The storm was too strong and the ship was damaged. One by one they lost the fight. In the end it was only and me waiting for rescue." "And rescue came?" "Yes. After 12 days a patrol found us. They saw the human ship and came to investigate. When they found me, alive and healthy, they were shocked. They wanted to kill. They said she must have done something evil to keep a child alive for so long." Felt his heart grow cold. "What happened?" "I saved her." The queen's voice was proud. "I was young, but I was strong. I told the soldiers that this human had protected me. I told them that if they hurt her, I would never forgive them. I did not have power then, but I had anger, and they listened. So they let her go. Yes, they gave her a ship and sent her back to human space. I never saw her again after that day, but I never forgot her face. I never forgot her voice. I never forgot the song she sang to me in the darkness. Reached into his pocket and pulled out the white stone. He held it up so the queen could see it clearly. This was hers. She gave it to me through the council. Maybe she knew that someday I would need it. The queen looked at the stone with soft eyes. She was wise, your grandmother, wiser than she knew. They sat in silence for a while, both thinking about the woman who had connected them across the stars. Then spoke again. Tell me about the war. Tell me why it started. The queen sighed. It was a strange sound like wind moving through a cave. It started with fear. That is how all wars start. Humans were expanding into new space, building colonies, making new homes. Some of those homes were close to territory. We did not mean to threaten you, said. I know that now, but my people did not know it then. They saw the human ships and they saw danger. They remembered old stories about invaders from the stars. They remembered wars that happened long before humans even existed. So they attacked first. Yes and no. The queen chose her words carefully. There were incidents, misunderstandings. A human ship crossed into our space by accident. Our patrol destroyed it. Then humans destroyed one of our stations in revenge. Then we destroyed a colony. And so it went back and forth, each side hurting the other, each side believing they were right. And you could not stop it. The queen shook her head. I was not queen yet when it started. When I took the throne, the war was already burning bright. My generals told me that we were winning. They told me that humans were weak, that we would crush them quickly. I believed them. But you did not crush us. No, humans are strange creatures. You do not fight like us. You do not think like us. When we expected you to surrender, you fought harder. When we expected you to run, you stood your ground. We have destroyed 12 of your colonies, but you have destroyed 3 of our worlds. The war has cost both sides more than we ever imagined. Nodded, he had seen this himself. He had watched human soldiers die for nothing but pride and anger. He had watched warriors fall in battles that meant nothing. War was always like this, a fire that burned everyone it touched. Your generals said, they will not want peace. No, they will not. The queen's voice was bitter. General is the worst. He has built his power on this war. He has promised our people victory and he will not accept anything less. If I call for peace, he will say I am a traitor. He will try to take my throne. Can you defeat him? Maybe, maybe not. He is powerful and he has many followers, but that is not the real problem. What is the real problem? The queen looked at with serious eyes. The real problem is trust. Even if I want peace, even if I stop my armies, how do I know the humans will do the same? How do I know they will not use this chance to attack us while we are weak? Thought about this. It was a good question. Trust was the hardest thing to build between enemies. Once it was broken, it might take generations to fix. I cannot promise anything for all humans, he said finally. I am just one soldier, but I can tell you what my grandmother believed. She believed that trust starts with one person, one act of kindness, one moment of courage. If you wait for everyone to agree, you will wait forever. But if you start, if you make the first move, others will follow. The queen was quiet for a long time. Her red eyes looked deep into his face, searching for something. Then she spoke. Your grandmother was very special. I see her in you. Not in your face, but in your heart. You have her courage. You have her hope. I do not feel very courageous, admitted. I am scared. I have been scared since I left Earth. Good, the queen almost smiled. The brave ones are always scared. It is the fools who feel no fear. She stood up slowly, her massive body rising like a mountain. Stood up too, feeling very small next to her. I will call my generals, the queen said. I will tell them that the war is changing. I will not call for peace yet, that would be too dangerous. but I will call for a pause, a moment to breathe, a chance to talk. And if they refuse, then I will deal with them. The queen's voice was hard now, like steel. I am still the queen, I still have power, and I am tired of being a slave to fear. Felt hope rising in his chest. What should I do? Go back to your people. Tell them what has happened here. Tell them that the queen of thee is ready to talk. Tell them to send their best diplomats, their leaders. We will meet on neutral ground away from both our worlds, and we will try to find a path forward. They will not believe me, said. They will think it is a trap. Then bring proof. The queen reached up and pulled something from her golden shell. It was a small crystal glowing with soft blue light. This is my royal mark. It cannot be or faked. Show this to your leaders. They will know that my words are true. Took the crystal carefully. It was warm in his hand, just like his grandmother's stone. He put it in his pocket next to the stone, feeling the weight of both. Thank you, he said. Thank you for listening. Thank you for remembering her. The queen bent down until her face was close to his. Her red eyes were gentle now, soft and warm. Thank you for coming here, she said. Thank you for having the courage to sing that song. When I heard it, I remembered who I wanted to be. Not a queen of war, but a queen who could protect her people without destroying others. You can still be that queen. Perhaps with your help, with the help of humans who believe in peace. She called for her servants, and the doors of the throne room opened. The advisors and warriors who had left earlier came back in, their faces full of questions. They looked at with confusion. They had expected him to be dead. This human is our guest, the queen announced. He will stay in the palace tonight. Tomorrow he will return to his people with a message of hope. Anyone who harms him will answer to me. The room was silent. General, a huge with black shells and angry eyes, stepped forward. My queen, he said, what madness is this? This human is our enemy. He should be killed, not protected. The queen turned to face him. Her voice was cold and commanding. I am the queen, my word is law. This human has shown me something I had forgotten, something important. You will respect my decision or you will face the consequences. His eyes burned with anger, but he said nothing. He stepped back and bowed his head. Watch this exchange carefully. He could see that the general was not giving up. He was just waiting for a better moment. The path to peace would not be easy. There would be enemies on both sides who would try to stop it. But for now, there was hope. For the first time in years, there was hope. And it had all started with a lullaby, sung by a grandmother who believed in the power of love. Left thee on a bright morning. The purple mountains glowed in the golden sunlight, and the silver ocean sparkled like diamonds. It was beautiful. It was the same world that had seemed so terrifying just 2 days ago, but now it looked different. Now it looked like a place where peace might be possible. Queen Vila came to see him off. She stood on the landing platform, surrounded by her guards, and watched as walked to his shuttle. She did not speak, but her red eyes said everything. They said thank you. They said good luck. They said do not fail. Climbed into his shuttle and started the engines. As he rose into the purple sky, he looked down at the queen one last time. She raised one of her 4 arms in a gesture of farewell, nodded through the window, and then the clouds took her from his sight. The journey home was faster than the journey out, or maybe it just felt that way. Spent most of his time thinking about what he would say when he returned. How do you explain that the enemy queen is not a monster? How do you tell people who have lost everything that there is still hope? He did not have answers to these questions. He only had the crystal in his pocket, glowing softly with blue light. He only had his grandmother's stone, smooth and warm against his palm. He only had the memory of a song, echoing through a throne room made of bones. When reached human space, he was met by a fleet of military ships. They surrounded his shuttle and ordered him to stop. For a moment, he thought they might destroy him. They might think he was a spy or a ghost returned from the dead. But then Commander's voice came through his radio. "Lieutenant, is that you?" "It is me, Commander. I am alive, and I have news." There was a long pause, then spoke again, and her voice was shaking. "Land at Station 7. We will meet you there." Landed at Station 7 2 hours later. The station was crowded with soldiers and officials, all of them staring at him like he was a miracle. Nobody had expected him to return. Nobody had expected him to survive even one day on the. Commander was waiting for him at the landing bay. Her silver hair was messy, and her eyes were red from lack of sleep. When she saw step out of the shuttle, she ran to him and grabbed his hands. "You are alive," she said. "You are really alive." "I am alive," said, "and I bring a message from Queen Vila, a message of hope." The next few days were chaos. Told his story to the council, to the military leaders, to everyone who would listen. He showed them the crystal that the Queen had given him. Experts examined it and confirmed that it was real. It was the royal mark of the Queen, impossible to fake. Some people believed him right away. They wept with relief and praised his courage. But others did not believe. They said it was a trick. They said they were planning something terrible. They said that peace was impossible after so much death. General Park was the loudest voice against peace. He was an old man with a face and cold eyes. He had lost 3 sons to the war, and his heart was full of nothing but hate. "This is a trap," General Park said in the council meeting. "The Queen is playing games with us. She wants us to lower our guard so she can destroy us completely." Shook his head. "I looked into her eyes, General. I heard her story. She is not playing games. She wants peace as much as we do." "Then she is a fool, and so are you." The room erupted in arguments. Some supported General Park, others supported. The shouting went on for hours, with nobody agreeing on anything. Finally, Commander stood up and raised her hand for silence. The room grew quiet. "We have argued enough," she said. "We have debated and disagreed and called each other names, but none of that changes the truth. We are losing this war. In 6 months we will have no ships left. In a year we will have no colonies left. If we do not try for peace, we will die, all of us, every human in the galaxy." She looked around the room, meeting every pair of eyes. "Lieutenant has brought us a chance, a real chance. The first chance we have had in years. We can take that chance or we can throw it away. But if we throw it away, we should not pretend that we are being wise. We are just being afraid." The room was silent. Then one by one the council members began to nod. Even General Park, though his face was twisted with anger, did not speak against her. The vote was close, but it passed. Humanity would send diplomats to meet with they would talk, they would try to find a way forward. The meeting took place 2 months later on a small moon at the edge of both territories. It was a dead world with no air and no life, but it was neutral ground. Neither side controlled it. Neither side had claims on it. Was part of the human team. He was not a diplomat, but Commander insisted that he come. "You started this," she said. "You should see how it ends." Queen Vila came herself, which surprised everyone. It was dangerous for her to leave her world, especially with General watching her every move. But she came anyway, bringing only a small group of advisors and guards. The 2 groups met in a dome on the surface of the moon. Through the clear walls, they could see the stars stretching out in every direction. It was a reminder of how big the universe was, and how small their conflict seemed against that vastness. The negotiations were long and difficult. There were moments when thought everything would fall apart. There were arguments about borders, about prisoners, about reparations for the dead. Old wounds were opened. Old anger was unleashed. But every time the talk seemed ready to collapse, Queen Vila would look at, and would touch the stone in his pocket. And they would both remember, the human woman who had shown kindness to an alien child in the darkness of a storm. After 3 weeks they reached an agreement. It was not a perfect agreement. Both sides had to give up things they wanted. Both sides had to accept things they did not like, but it was an agreement, a treaty, a promise to stop killing each other. The signing ceremony was simple. Queen Vila pressed her mark onto a document. Commander signed her name beneath it. The two leaders shook hands, 4 alien fingers wrapping around 5 human ones, and the war was officially over. Watched from the back of the room, he felt tired but happy. He thought about all the people who had died in the war on both sides. He thought about the colonies that had been destroyed, the families that had been broken, the futures that had been stolen. None of that could be undone. But maybe, just maybe, no more futures would be stolen. Maybe the children born tomorrow would grow up in peace. Maybe they would never know what it felt like to lose everything to a war that never should have happened. After the ceremony, Queen Vila approached. They stood together by the clear wall of the dome, looking out at the stars. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for having the courage to come to my world. Thank you for singing your grandmother's song." Smiled, "Thank you for listening. Thank you for remembering her." "I will never forget her." The Queen's voice was soft. "She saved my life when I was small and helpless, and now, through you, she has saved both our peoples." Reached into his pocket and pulled out the white stone. He held it up so the light from the stars could shine through it. "I think she would be happy," he said. "I think she would be proud." "Yes," the Queen nodded slowly. "She would be proud of you. You have become exactly the kind of person she hoped you would be." They stood in silence for a long time, watching the stars together. Two creatures from two different worlds, connected by a song and a memory and a grandmother's love. The universe was big and cold and often cruel. Wars would probably happen again someday. Conflicts would arise. Misunderstandings would lead to violence. But for now there was peace. For now there was hope. And it had all started with one simple truth: that kindness, even the smallest act of kindness, could echo across the stars and change the fate of worlds. Somewhere out there, in whatever place souls went after death, Grandmother was smiling. Her lullaby had done its work. The darkness was no longer something to fear. Because love, just as she had promised, had found them.